In one small music shop in London, a rejection from suppliers accidentally created one of the most recognizable sounds in rock history. And it all started because the shop owner couldn't get enough gear for his store. This is the story of Orange Amps. In the late 1960s in the Soho district of London, a musician and entrepreneur named Cliff Cooper ran a music store and recording studio. At first, it was supposed to be simple: buy gear from distributors, sell it to musicians, and keep things moving. But there was a problem. Cooper wasn't getting enough equipment to properly stock his shop, not because he didn't have customers, but because suppliers weren't giving his store enough inventory to compete. So instead of waiting for permission from the industry, he did something that completely changed guitar history. He started building his own amplifiers. At first, they weren't meant to be legendary. They were meant to solve a problem, but something unexpected happened. The early Orange amps, models like OR100 and OR120 heads, were loud. Not just loud,
ridiculously loud.
They had huge transformers, simple controls, and raw, aggressive tone that cut through anything. No polish, no compromise, just volume and attitude. And in a time when rock music was getting bigger, louder, and more experimental, the sound stood out immediately. And there was another detail that made them unforgettable: the control panels. Early Orange amps used picture-based symbols instead of traditional text labels for many of the controls, partly because the amps were being used internationally, and partly because the company wanted something visually different. The result looked strange, futuristic, and instantly recognizable. But there was something else that made them impossible to ignore: the color. Bright, almost absurd orange cabinets. On stage, they didn't blend in, they dominated the visual space. In an era of black and silver amps, orange didn't just sound different, it looked different too. And that combination started turning heads fast. By the early 1970s, orange amps were showing up on major stages across the UK and Europe. But the company didn't just stop at building amps. They launched something called Orange Hire, a backline service that provided full gear setups for touring bands and major festivals. That meant if you went to a big show in the UK during that time, there was a good chance you were hearing Orange amps, whether you knew it or not. For a short period, it felt like Orange was everywhere. But the music industry doesn't stay still. By the 1980s, everything changed. Synthesizers, digital production, cleaner sounds, different priorities. Guitar-driven rock wasn't the center of the music world anymore. And like a lot of amplifier companies, Orange struggled. For a time, the brand faded from mainstream visibility. It looked like the story might be over, but it wasn't. In the 1990s, something unexpected happened. Cliff Cooper regained control of the company. And instead of trying to chase trends, Orange doubled down on what made it different in the first place: loud, raw, character-driven tone. And this time, a new generation was listening. Bands started rediscovering that thick, mid-heavy sound. Not clean, not polished, but alive. Artists like Jim Root of Slipknot, Brent Hines of Mastodon, Noel Gallagher of Oasis, and Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top all brought Orange amps into their rigs. And suddenly, that old sound didn't feel old at all. It felt essential. Today, Orange amps are especially loved in hard rock, stoner rock, and metal because they just don't sit in the mix, they feel the mix. That signature tone, thick mids, heavy lows, and raw presence became part of modern rock's identity. And what's wild is this: none of it was really planned. A shop owner couldn't get stock, so he built his own solution. And that solution ended up being one of the most iconic sounds in rock history. So the next time you see a wall of bright orange amps behind a band on stage, you're not just looking at gear. You're looking at a problem that turned into a legacy. And you already know one thing for sure, it's about to get loud. Thanks for watching this episode on Blood, Sweat, and Riffs. Hit that subscribe button and hit that like button like everybody else says.